Hello everyone, and welcome back. In a recent video, I covered the basics of viewing files through the Linux CLI using several commands. However, I wanted to make another video to focus more on the less command, and to show you some other useful tricks and flags that I commonly use on a regular basis. I hope you find them as useful as I do, and with that, let's jump right in. Alright, so if you recall from my other video about less, the main things that we went over were simply how to view a file, navigate basically through it, and exit the less command to get back to the prompt. So I'll post a link in the description so you guys can reference that. But we're going to build upon what we did there. That was just the very basics of viewing a file. And in this case, we're going to do some additional things that are common. So usually when you're looking in a file, you're looking for something in particular most times. So that's what I do on a regular basis as a Linux administrator. And so that's what we're going to do here. So I'm going to list the contents of my home directory, and what you'll see is there's a new file, and this is the sshd config. It's a copy of the actual sshd config file. The reason why I picked this file is because it's commonly found on most systems, and it's fairly lengthy. You can find it under /etc/ssh, and then there's an sshd_config file. So I just copied that, moved it to my home directory, just so we can play with it here safely and not mess anything up. But like I said, we'll be using less, so we're not going to be editing, just viewing the file. But I'm going to go ahead and open up this file using the less command, and once again I typed SSH, hit tab, and it was able to autofill to make it more useful. And now I'll hit enter, and now we're looking within the file. So like before, up, down works. If I go right, it lets me view longer files that wouldn't fit on this screen. But what I wanted to show you is how to search within the file. Like I said, normally you don't just want to look at it, you're looking for something. So one thing that in the sshd config file is maybe you want to find something about a key file, because those can be important. So the way we're going to do a search using less is with the /. So if you notice in the bottom left, I've got a colon there, and then a cursor that's flashing. So all I have to do is hit the / on the keyboard, and that brings up the / there, and that means I'm in forward search mode. So I'm going to go ahead and search for key, just all lowercase, and hit enter. And notice it skipped me forward through the file, and now anywhere where less found the key word, it highlights it for me. So now that we forward searched, what if I want to move to the next one? Well, that's simple. Just hit the N key on the keyboard. So as I hit N, it takes me to the next line. And then once again, so here we saw that it skipped a couple lines and took me to ciphers and keying. And then if I hit N again, so right now, if I hit N one more time, I should jump all the way down to the bottom where it says pub key authentication, and we see that happen. So like I said, key is throughout this file, and this is very useful. So what we'll do now is we did a forward search. The reason why I specified that is because once I get to the end of the file, like I'm going to go ahead and just use the space bar and go towards the bottom. And if I hit N, so notice I said, show me the next file. Well, it didn't find anything. Well, what I could do is I could do two things. I can go ahead and, since lowercase n searched for the next one, I can now use Shift N to go backwards. So just remember, lowercase n takes you to the next one, and capital N will take you to the previous one. So that might be confusing, but to me it's just very simple. N for next, Shift N goes backwards. I kind of think about it like with tab. Tab will tab forward, but Shift Tab, if you didn't know, actually tabs backwards, which is useful. So, so like I said, I can hit Shift N, and it'll take me backwards. And then if I take my hand off the Shift key and hit N, now I'm going forwards again. Now, another way that you can search, though, is a reverse search. So I'm going to go ahead and do Shift G to go to the end of the file. Let's say I'm down here. I know it doesn't wrap to the top, so let's search for something different like port. I know that's in here, so I'm going to go ahead. The way we do a reverse search is with a question mark. So if you notice, the same key that's forward slash, if you do shift and then that same key, that gives you the question mark. So that's kind of an easy way to remember it. Slash is forward search because it's a forward slash, and then shift forward slash or the question mark, that will be a reverse one. So similar to the N in capital N, being N being forward, capital N being backwards. So like I said, I'm going to go ahead and search for port here and hit enter. So in this case, it found supported because it had port in it. That's fine. If I hit N, it's actually taking me up in the file. It's not taking me down because I specified I'm doing a reverse search. So that's why N is taking me to the next search item, but it's in the reverse direction. So like I said, now I've reached the top and I can't find it again. Well, if I want to go backwards, I'll just do capital N. So I'm going to do capital N, and that's actually taking me backwards through the reverse search, so kind of a double negative, but I'm going forward because I'm doing the opposite of a forward search in a reverse search. So, like I said, kind of interesting way to do it, but to me, once you do it, you'll get used to it, and at least the system of one key is forward, and then usually shift, and that same key does the opposite. You'll kind of see that throughout these commands. So now that we've covered how to do a forward search and a reverse search, and then how to move forward and backwards with those, I wanted to show you a couple other ways or a couple other things that are useful. And this is going to be particularly for jumping through the file. So like I said, the bottom left you have the colon, which usually kind of lets you know that it's waiting for a command or it'll accept a command. And what we'll do is there are, I think, about 145 lines in this file. And let's say I wanted to go to, I don't know, line 50, right? Like maybe for some reason I know that line 50 is exactly what I'm looking for. I probably look through here and I'm like, yep, line 50, that's the one I need to go to. Well, what I can do is I'm going to type 50. So you see that in the bottom left there. And then I'm going to just hit the G key. So what that does is that takes me to line 50. I could skip to line 90 if I want to. So I'm going to type 90. I'm going to hit G. I can say line 121 and hit G, and it's going to take me through the file to that line. And what it's doing is this top line here, the very first one that you see on the screen, that should be the line where you're going to. And we'll confirm that a little bit later when I show you another flag that we can use with less. So that'll take you to a specific line, but another useful command I like to use within when you're viewing a file with less is maybe it's a percentage file. Maybe you say, well, I know it's towards the, this is the last 80% or something like that. Well, it's going to be similar. We're going to type a number. So let's say 70% is where I want to go to in the file. I'm going to type 70. And then instead of hitting G, I'm going to hit the P for percent. And so now I've just gone through 70% of the file. And so that very top line, the PAM authentication, that is 70% through this file. So like I said, those are useful ways to skip through, real quick. Like if I wanted to go to the first 15%, so 15, hit P, I'm now 15% through the file. And if I go up, so I just hit the up arrow. So notice I didn't go too far up. So but we'll confirm these details here shortly with some other flags. But now you know how you can use the less command to either jump to a specific line or even go a certain percentage through the file, which is useful when looking for things. Okay, so finally, we're going to go over some flags that we can use with less. And like I said, these will be useful because as we just went over, we wanted to go to specific lines or a certain percentage of the way through a file. And these flags are going to help show us that information just so we can confirm. So I'm going to hit Q to exit out of this right now because I want to use, I don't want to just use less by itself by the defaults. I want to use some flags here. So the first one we're going to use that's useful is the -N flag. And what this is going to do is it's going to list line numbers with the display. So as I'm seeing the file, I'll see line numbers, and we'll go ahead and just do that. So less-N, and then I'm going to call the file. So you have the command less, you have the flag -N, and then you have the parameter, or in this case the file name, which is sshd_config-copy. So when I hit enter, notice now we have numbers on the left side of the screen, and it goes 1 through, I'm going to hit capital G on the keyboard. So according to this, there's 145 lines. Well, that's useful to know, like I said. And so jumping back to, remember we used the G key so we could skip to a certain line. Let's confirm that that works. We went to 50 earlier, I think, so I'm going to type 50 and hit G. Awesome, look at that, the very top line, line 50, I was able to jump there very quickly. So like I said, this is the -N flag is very useful, especially with, like I said, sometimes you look in a file and you'll know the line number because when I use VI, we went over that video to edit files, it will show you which line you're on. And so what I do is after I edit the file, sometimes I'm making changes, here and there just to see what happens with that change. And so I know about where I've been in the system. And like I said, we don't want to use VI to view the file. We only want to use VI to edit it. So if you're using less, you can add the line number, and then now you can search through it to make sure that you're finding what you need and confirming any details that you need to see there. So that's the first useful flag. The next one that we'll use is going to be the -m. And so the way you can remember this is with the more command, it gives you information like the percentage, like how far you are through a file, which can be useful. And that's honestly one of the main things I liked about more over less. But less was very nice, and they gave us a way to have that same option. So we're going to do less-m, sshd tab, and we're going to open up the file and notice, so we have the file name on the bottom left like we usually do. But now if I go down just using the arrow keys, I see what percentage I am through the file. So like I said, this is useful information, and like we went over before, I can give a number. So I'm going to hit G to go to the top of the file. Let's say I want to go to 60%, no, 50% through the file. So 50, hit the P key, and so it says 67% because the top line is 50%, but the bottom line that I'm actually seeing like 50 through 67%. So that's why it looks like that, but I'm halfway through the file, which if we want to confirm, I'm going to go ahead and stack it with the -n. So I'm going to do -N, m, sshd. So I'm going to type 50 now, hit P, and so I'm on line 72, and earlier we saw that there are 145 files. 72, that's right at halfway through 145, without that half line, obviously. But yeah, there we're able to confirm that 50% takes me to line 72, which is halfway through the file. So like I said, it's good to have this information, I think, to basically know, okay, I remember I was at the beginning of the file or maybe towards the end, and you can kind of skip quickly through the file, especially once you get to a file that might be hundreds and hundreds of lines, and you don't want to hit spacebar to page through or go to the end and then work your way back. You can just say, take me 75% of the way there, and it's a quick way to jump around in the file. So we've gone over -m, and you probably realized I specified lowercase here, but there's also a -M flag. So we'll just go ahead and see what that does. So I'm going to use less-M in the file name. And notice, so I get the file name first off. It tells me what lines I'm looking at, and then it tells me what percentage too. So this is awesome. This is a combination of, okay, I get the line numbers, what I'm seeing from the top of the line, or sorry, the top of the page through the bottom. So And then when I hit down, notice it's going up one line at a time. If I hit spacebar, that's useful for me to confirm. So right now I'm on lines 40 through 62, and when I hit spacebar again, well, now I'm 63 to 85. So I was able to confirm that the last line I saw was 62, and now the very first line I'm seeing is 63. Um, so let's go ahead and, like I said, I told you earlier that using the G key to skip to a certain line or the P key to go to a certain percentage in the file. Well, let's stack these flags again. So less dash n to show me the line number, and then I'm going to use dash capital M for the more information, and then the file name sshd underscore config dash copy. So now, notice, like I said, we have the file name and the lines 1 through 23. And what's awesome about stacking -n with this is I can confirm the first line is line 1, the last line I see is line 23. I'm going to just, let's go 40%. So I'm going to do 40p. I'm 40% through the file. Once again, 59 is the first line I see, 81 is the last, and I can confirm down here 59 through 81, and I'm seeing up to 55% of the file. So this is good information to have. Whenever you use these flags, use them to make it easier for you to do what you need to do. If a line number is important, you use the flag to see the line numbers. If you just like I said, how more shows you the percentage of the way you are through the file, well, you got the dash M, dash capital M options, but use the flags as you need. Obviously, less works the same way with or without these flags. These just give you some more information, just to make your work easier as you're working on the file system. All right, and then the final flag that I want to go over. So I'm going to exit here. So earlier we went over how to search within a file. Well, what if you know that you're searching for something right off the bat, and maybe you've done it many times before, but you can't remember which line? Well, you just say, okay, I'm searching for this specific thing. What you can use before, as you call the less command to view the file, is a dash lowercase p. So what this will do is it lets you provide a pattern after that flag, and you can search for that pattern right off the bat when you open up the file for viewing. So I'm going to go ahead and do less dash p, and then I'm going to add a space here, and I'm going to say, let's look for port, right? Because SSH listens on port 22, and maybe I just want to confirm that, hey, no one messed with that. So I'm going to go ahead and type port, and then I'm going to give my file name here and hit enter. And look, right off the bat, I didn't start at the top of the file. The very first line I see, it's saying, right, here's port. This is your first search. And if I hit N, it's already preset for me, so I can search forward. And like I said, I can use Shift N to go backwards. There's only 2 instances of port in here, but this is useful. And like I said, this is for you to use the command as efficiently as possible to do what you need to do on the system. All right, so hopefully you found those useful. Like I said, these are things that I use on a regular basis with my job as a Linux administrator. Like I said, viewing the file, using line numbers, jumping to a certain spot in the file is very useful to make your work more efficient. It all depends on what are you doing, what do you know about the file, and then just use these flags. Just make your job easier. And with that, thanks for joining me, and until next time, take care and God bless.